You ever feel like giving up, giving in, that the task is too big or too daunting, or the pressure is too much? So this week we looked at Noah in our series of core values. We talked about work ethic. Noah, if you look at his timeline, at the age of 480 years old, God calls on him to start building an ark. And the idea of building an ark is kind of strange because they haven't even experienced rain. So the idea that they need a boat to save everyone from this large storm is pretty crazy in Noah's eyes. But Noah remains faithful and continues to build. At the age 500, he starts having children. By the age 600, the ark is complete and they'll start loading up to leave. It's interesting that God gives them 120 years for God's people to be redeemed. We see that there's two lines of people here that is corrupted culture. When you think of the story of Cain and Abel, Cain kills Abel. Cain is described as the line of man here in the story, and then Seth, Adam and Eve's third son, later on, is the line of God. He remained faithful, and so what happened was these two lines were sent out into the world, and as they lived, one was of man and one was of God, and they said that at times the two lines started to cross, and they started pairing up and to being married. And so you look at the idea of unequally yoked is that line right there, and it says that corruption has taken over the world and they lost. And so God said it was time for a change. And so Noah's era brought rest to the land because the sinful nature and corruption was going to take over the world. And so because of Noah's faithfulness to God, he used him in this huge miraculous way. So we see that Noah brought rest upon the land, but we also see this idea of work ethic, that it took him 120 years to complete building the ark, and that's from gathering the wood and processing the wood. Not only the work ethic to complete the task, but also the idea that he had to go against the ridicule of others, to never give up. See, sometimes it's easy for us to quit, especially for me when it's time to work out or to condition, whatever. If I'm in some place by myself, I'm probably giving up. I'm throwing in the towel. We see the idea that we need other people around us to encourage and to motivate us, that we won't give up. We looked at the idea of work ethic and the idea that we have people in our lives that have exemplified this for us. From our grandparents who have worked into their late 80s, continue to do stuff, to continue to strive to be active in this value, because we dream of retirement that we can lay around and do nothing, but yet we see this older generation who's worked hard through the end of their lives. See, Noah is that perfect example of work ethic, that it's never too old and it's never too late to keep going and to keep doing. And so we see that this is a value for our land, the value for our students to understand the great value that there is for working, but not only working, but working for God. To using your abilities and your talents to do something extraordinarily huge for God. See, just remember that the Titanic was built by professionals, but the ark was built by amateurs. See, sometimes we don't think that we're equipped enough to do something great, but God continues to equip us our everyday journey for His kingdom.